We got a lot of work to do. You know, when they let, I think the real number is 15, 16 million people into our country. When they do that, we got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They've
poisoning the blood of our country. I mean, you just got to think about that. If you want a reason not to vote for Trump, that is a very powerful thing that he's going to have to overcome. I guarantee you, very few people in that audience that he was just talking to have been here more than a few generations. Some probably have. He's got some of that blood on one side of his family. But let me tell you something. If we don't have immigrants in America, we don't have anything, because that's almost what all of us are. And I'm talking 2, 3 generations. I'm 2 generations in this country, all right? Just like Trump on one side of his family. His wife is the first. Did she poison the blood? Oh, no, he's only talking about the bad hombres. They poison the blood. Oh, okay. The people doing all the jobs? Like they said about my grandparents when they came here? I mean, that's something to be taken all on its own, all right? Now we get to a different level of state of play, okay? He made a very controversial remark, right? So what? The governor of Texas is playing a different game, okay? Just like the lawsuit against Trump in Colorado that is mixing politics and law, so's Abbott. And it's a good move politically. Governor Abbott signed a bill that makes it illegal to immigrate into the state. It's a crime now, okay? Illegal immigration into Texas is a crime. The new law, which would go into effect in January, authorizes police to arrest people they suspect of crossing the Rio Grande between ports of entry. Penalties could be 6 months to 20 years. Abbott also signed a bill earmarking more than $1 billion for more border barriers. The second part, good for him. That has nothing to do with anything else except what his state wants. Now, is the law okay, or is this really a political stunt to just show the desperation that people have? And that is a real desperation. Let's debate. Former Republican Texas Congresswoman Mayra Flores and the national president of the League of United Latin American Citizens, known as LULAC, Domingo Garcia. It's good to have you both. First, Flores, do you believe that this law is more about the law or more about the desperation of needing to do something, even if it contravenes federal law and will be litigated and lost?
We are desperate here in South Texas, and the federal government, the Biden administration, refuses to enforce our immigration law. So our governor is having to step up. But I believe that it's the federal government's job to enforce immigration laws and not our police officers. But because the Biden administration refuses to do so, our governor is forced to do this.
Domingo, I have a different theory. I agree with Mayra Flores about the desperation. But the inaction, do you have a sneaking suspicion that both sides would rather complain about this problem than do something about it because the problem works so well for their politics? And how does this play into that?
You know, you would think that the leaders of the Republican Party are working hand in hand with the human smugglers and the cartels because they don't want immigration reform. Every time we talk about comprehensive immigration reform, bipartisanship, Republicans and Democrats working together, they shoot it down. They don't even allow it for a vote. You want to stop illegal immigration? I'll make it simple for you. Make it a crime to hire an undocumented worker. Put that socialite who hires a nanny. Put that Fortune 500 CEO in prison for hiring all those workers in the agricultural area, construction, restaurants, entertainment. Make it prisons for 3 or 4 million Americans who hired undocumented immigrants. They'll stop illegal immigration. Let's stop the demand.
But we need the jobs.
So they're not going to do that.
We need the workers. We need the new blood. We need the artisans. We need all of it. The question is, can you get the workers that you need, but have it be an orderly system? And the answer has to be yes. So, Mayra, I get what the governor is trying to say here, but there is every expectation that when you pass a state law that contravenes federal law, you lose, right? Everybody knows that.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I was in Congress last cycle, and the Democrat Party had the majority in the House of Representatives, in the Senate. They had the president, and they did not pass no immigration reform. They have promised the Hispanic community an immigration reform, just to use us for votes. But at the end of the day, there is no immigration reform. The Republican Party never promised an immigration reform, but the Democrat Party did. So the Democrat Party continues to use the Hispanic community for votes, but their intentions is not to fix this problem. Why? Because they want to continue using this issue every election cycle. It's all over again. Vote for us and we'll give you an immigration reform. It's just never going to happen.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.